tonight we're going back, not to a peaceful time, but to a quiet, flickering moment in history, when survival meant herbs, whispered prayers, and hope wrapped in fevered sheets. This is the story of how people tried to live, when death knocked on every door. The Black Death swept through villages like a ghost in the mist, but some still held on. They lit candles, they crushed garlic, they sang psalms, they believed, and somehow through dirt, disease, and desperation, they survived. So curl up, breathe slow, and let the world fall away for a little while, because tonight, we're walking through darkened monasteries, backyard herb gardens, and smoky healers' rooms, where hope was steeped like tea, and prayers floated gently with the steam. And if you haven't yet, subscribe for more quiet journeys into forgotten worlds. Like this video if your heart's still beating. Now, let's begin. Can you hear that? Stone sandals tapping gently across marble floors, water trickling in slow, steady streams, voices low, calm, echoing off high curved ceilings. Welcome to the Thermae, Rome's favorite place to relax. Now, picture this. You're in a bustling Roman city, maybe Carthage or Pompeii. The streets outside are busy, carts clattering, vendors shouting, kids chasing chickens. It's noisy, it's hot, it smells like olives and ambition. But just around the corner, tucked behind a thick stone wall, is something completely different. A sanctuary. A place where time stretches and minds melt. You step through the gates, and the world changes. The air is warm, not like sun in your skin warm, but like a cozy blanket kind of warm. The stone under your feet hums gently with heat. Inside, it's not silent, but it's soft. Everything slows down. Even your heartbeat feels like it's trying to whisper. This is the Thermae. The Roman bathhouse wasn't just a place to wash off the dust of the day. It was the ancient version of wellness, social media, spa day, and networking all rolled into one. People didn't just bathe here. They talked, they read, they exercised, they argued about politics. Some even brought their lunch. Others brought business deals. But everyone came to unwind, to feel human again. Let's pause for a second. Imagine yourself standing at the threshold. You haven't even taken your sandals off yet, but already you can feel the steam in the air, the scent of warm stone, olive oil, maybe a touch of frankincense drifting through the corridors. Light filters in through a high oculus in the ceiling, dancing across the mosaic floor. You catch glimpses of golden tiles, waves of blue, little fish swimming in stone. Not bad for 2,000 years ago, right? The architecture itself was meant to soothe you. High ceilings so you could breathe. Domed roofs to echo the sound of flowing water, like a lullaby. Heated floors called hypocausts warmed the room from below. The walls were thick to block out the noise of the city. It was all intentional. The bathhouse wasn't just designed for hygiene, it was designed for the soul. And it welcomed everyone. Yes, really. From wealthy senators to merchants, slaves to poets. Sure, the rich had fancier towels, but the baths were a leveler. A place where status took a break. For a little while, everyone sat in the same steam. You'd start by undressing in the appetitorium, the changing room. You'd hand your clothes to a slave, or hide them in a cubby if you were paranoid. You might be offered oil for your skin. You'd look around, notice people chatting about politics, sports, the newest play at the amphitheater. Some are old, some are young, all are half naked and very, very chill. Next, you'd walk through a series of rooms, warm, too hot, too cold, but we'll get to those in later chapters. Right now, we're still in that first moment, the doorway, that space between the loud world outside and the quiet hum inside. And in this moment, something starts to shift. Your shoulders drop a little, your breathing slows, you're not thinking about what you forgot to do earlier. You're just here. You see, for the Romans, bathing was a way of reconnecting, not just with other people, but with themselves. It was a pause button in a fast-moving life. They didn't rush through it, they savored it. Some folks stayed in the baths for hours. Morning bath, lunch, another soak, nap, dinner, evening dip, repeat. Even emperors loved their baths. Marcus Aurelius probably wrote a few pages of meditations with steam in his face. Nero, he built entire palaces with personal bath tents, and some generals even had portable bath tents on military campaigns. Imagine soaking in warm water while plotting a siege. Power move, honestly. But it wasn't just about luxury. Bathing was believed to balance the humors you. No blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile, yum. It kept your body warm, your mind calm, and your spirit clean. There were also spiritual elements. Some bathhouses had shrines or little altars. People lit candles, whispered prayers, asked for healing, or just silence. And let's not forget the little things. The warm towel someone hands you, the tiny silver cup of wine, the sound of someone humming softly down the hall, a child's laugh echoing in a high archway. These were the details that turned bathing into something sacred. So when people say, "Oh, Romans liked their baths," they're underselling it. The thermi weren't just a pastime. They were a philosophy, a place to let go, to breathe, to rest, to soak in something more than just water. And now, you're here too. Take off your shoes. We'll be here a while. Chapter 2. The Rhythm of Roman Days. All right, forget everything you think you know about routines. The Romans had theirs dialed in. These weren't people rushing through life with alarms blaring and coffee on the go. Nope, they had a rhythm, a vibe, a daily groove that worked whether you were a senator with a toga or a sandal-wearing shopkeeper. And it all centered around something surprisingly chill: bathing. Let's take a little walk through a typical Roman day and see how they kept life organized, balanced, and is really clean. Romans didn't just go bathe, they scheduled their afternoons around it. So, when we say the Romans liked to bathe, we don't mean a quick splash in a sink. This wasn't a rinse-and-go situation. This was a whole event. Bathing wasn't some afterthought. It was the main attraction of the afternoon. You didn't just show up to the bathhouse on a whim, you planned your day around it. Appointments were pushed, guests waited, dinner could chill. But your bath, that had a reserved spot on your schedule. These bathhouses were massive, by the way. Think steam rooms, cold pools, warm pools, gyms, gardens, libraries, snack bars, and sometimes even lecture halls. It was part spa, part social club, and part sweaty Roman hangout. For most citizens, the bathhouse wasn't optional, it was sacred. Senators, soldiers, merchants, even slaves all piled in. No shame, no status games. Everyone stripped down and soaked together. Weirdly democratic, right? And trust me, if someone skipped their daily bath, people noticed. Showing up dirty in Rome was like showing up to brunch today with spinach in your teeth and a dead phone. People judged. Work in the morning, bathing after lunch, dinner in the evening. Now, let's break down the daily Roman rhythm. The day kicked off early, like sunrise early. Romans weren't hitting snooze 6 times. They were up with the birds and getting stuff done. Legal, business, market runs, court speeches, politics, farming, whatever needed doing. It happened before noon. Why so early? Because Roman summers were hot, and nobody wanted to debate taxes or harvest grapes in full armor when the sun was blazing. After the morning hustle came lunchlight stuff like bread, cheese, fruit, maybe some olives or leftovers from last night's feast. No Roman was wolfing down a cheeseburger at their desk. Then, after lunch, the best part of the day, bath time. This was when the real fun began. People hit the bathhouses in waves, chatting, sweating, gossiping, and catching up on news. Some brought friends, some brought enemies, and tried not to drown them. But everyone came for the same reason too: unwind. After bathing, maybe a little nap or reading, then you geared up for dinner. Evening meals were longer and fancier, especially for the rich. Think wine, fish, figs, stories, music, and possibly some awkward poetry readings. If your dinner party didn't include at least one guy quoting Virgil with a wine stain on his tunic, were you even living? A daily ritual that soothed both senators and slaves. Now here's what's wild. This whole rhythm work, bathe dine, wasn't just for the elite. Even slaves and commoners found their way into it. Public bathhouses were everywhere. Some were fancy, some were bare bones, but they all offered the same thing: a reset button. Imagine being a Roman laborer. You're hauling bricks all morning. It's 95 degrees. Your feet are killing you. But then, around 2 p.m., you head to the baths. Cold plunge, steam room, a quick rub down with olive oil. Suddenly, life feels okay again. For the rich, it was luxury. For the poor, it was survival. And for everyone, it was normal. And here's the thing, they didn't just bathe to stay clean though. Yes, hygiene mattered. They bathed to connect. Business deals went down in the baths, friendships were made. Gossip was shared. Sometimes political plots were even whispered under waterfalls. The bathhouse wasn't just a building. It was a community center with towels. Even emperors made appearances. One day you're soaking next to your baker. The next day, boom, there's the emperor, adjusting his towel and asking about your wheat prices. Final thoughts. The ancient art of knowing when to chill. So what can we learn from Rome's daily rhythm? Honestly, a lot. In a world that now moves way too fast, the Romans slowed things down. They worked hard in the morning, but they built in time to breathe, soak, and reconnect every single day. They didn't wait for the weekend to relax. They made rest part of the plan. And their routine wasn't just about productivity, it was about balance. You got stuff done, you took care of your body, you enjoyed good food, you shared a laugh, then you did it all again tomorrow. No apps, no alarms, just sunrises, sandals, and steamy afternoons with strangers. So maybe next time your schedule feels like a disaster, take a cue from the Romans, block off some time, step away from the noise, and if you can't find a marble bathhouse nearby, that's fine. Even a quiet shower and some olives will do. Chapter 3. The Grand Entrance. Apoditorium. The air is warm. The stone under your sandals hums with heat. You've just stepped through the main door of the Roman bathhouse, and now you're in the apoditorium. Yeah, it's a weird word. Sounds like a spell from Harry Potter, but it simply means the changing room. And trust me, this isn't like the changing rooms at your gym, where someone's always blasting music from their phone and forgetting their towel. This place, it's calm, almost sacred. You look around and see marble benches lining the walls, smooth, cool, and a bit worn from years of bare skin. Above them, carved into the stone, are rows of little niches shelves. Basically, that's where everyone puts their clothes, or, if you're important enough, your slave does it for you. And yes, slavery was a thing. The Romans had lots of it. Some came to the baths alone, but many came with a helper, pure or attendant, not just to carry your tunic, but to help oil you down, scrub your back, even guard your clothes from thieves. Because yes, even in paradise, someone might swipe your toga. Let the undressing begin. You undo the clasp on your cloak, slip off your tunic, sandals go last. Everything gets neatly folded, or at least tossed into one of the wall niches, unless your helper is doing it with all the precision of a royal butler. You feel a bit awkward at first. It's not every day you get mostly naked in public, surrounded by senators and street poets alike. But here, nobody's judging. Everyone's stripped down. It's just part of the deal. You might glance around and see a local baker chatting with a magistrate, a legionnaire stretching before heading into the gym room, a kid snickering as his dad trips on his sandal. Everyone's equal now. Skin is skin. And sweat, or that's coming soon. But before that, we need oil. A little olive oil never hurt anyone before soap. There was oil. Olive oil to be exact. And not the fancy cold-pressed drizzle over your salad type. This oil was for the skin, to cleanse it, to soften it, to prep it for the hot rooms ahead. A friendly bath attendant might come by holding a little ceramic flask and a curved metal tool called a strigil. You've probably never used one, unless you've time-traveled before. But it works like this. They rub the oil on your skin, then use the strigil to scrape off the oil, dirt, sweat, and whatever else you brought in from the city. Kind of gross. Yes, effective. Surprisingly so. And let's be real, it's kind of nice. Like a pre-spa ritual. You feel cleaner already, even though you haven't stepped into the actual bath yet. Sometimes the oil is scented, maybe lavender or myrrh. Richer folks might go for cinnamon or imported rose oil. Either way, it smells way better than the fish market you walked past earlier. A moment of stillness. You sit on the bench for a moment, just letting the warmth seep into your bones. The air is filled with soft sounds, whispers, laughter, the soft creak of sandals on polished stone. No one's rushing, everyone's just being. This is the apoditorium at its core, not just a room for undressing, but a space for shedding. You take off your clothes, yes, but also your titles, your tasks, your worries. No one's the boss in here. No one cares if you overcooked your lentils this morning or lost a bet on the chariot races. You're just a person with pores. And those pores are about to open wide. There's an energy in the air, a quiet anticipation, kind of like standing backstage before a show, or waiting for your coffee to finish brewing. Something good is coming. You can feel it in your skin, literally. Not just for the elite. The apoditorium wasn't just for emperors and philosophers. Even average folks, bakers, teachers, farmers came here. Some bathhouses were massive, with different wings for men and women, for rich and poor. Others were smaller, simpler, more local. But they all had a version of this room, because everyone needed a place to change, and more importantly, a place to transition. You see, Roman life was chaotic. Streets were busy, homes were noisy, jobs were exhausting. The appetiterium was the first breath of silence, the moment the day softened. If walls could talk, these stone walls have seen it all. Nervous timers, grumpy old men complaining about tax increases, young lovers sneaking glances, maybe even a gladiator washing blood off his sandals. Over time, the benches wore down, the niches chipped at the corners, and the oil left soft stains on the stone. But the ritual stayed the same. Come in, take off your cloak, breathe, let the world slip off your shoulders like a heavy tunic. And that, friend, is the beauty of the appetiterium. It's not flashy, it's not the hot room or the plunge pool, but it's where the real bath begins. Because before you cleanse the body, you have to learn how to stop holding it so tight. Chapter 4. Oils and the art of the strigil. Alright, let's set the scene. You're in ancient Rome, you've finished your morning hustle, had a light lunch, and now it's time to hit the baths. But wait, before you even think about dipping into that warm water, there's one important step. You oil up. Yep, Romans didn't use soap like we do today. No lavender-scented shower gels, no foamy loofahs. Their secret weapon, olive oil, lots of it. And to clean themselves, they didn't rinse it off, they scraped it off. With a tool that's part weird, part genius. Get ready to meet one of the most underrated self-care routines in history. No soap, just olive oil. So here's the deal. Romans didn't believe in soap. Some cultures used it, sure, but Romans thought it was kind of harsh. It dried out the skin, it smelled weird. It was for laundry, not bodies. Instead, they turned to olive oil, liquid gold, straight from the press. They'd pour it on their skin, arms, legs, chest, even the face. And not just a few drops either. Generous amounts. You'd basically look like a roast chicken before you even stepped near the hot rooms. But this wasn't just about moisture. Olive oil stuck to all the grime, sweat, dust, street filth, whatever you picked up on your walk through the forum. It acted like a magnet for mess. No soap bubbles, no scrubbing, just oil and shine. Plus, olive oil was everywhere. Rich, poor, everyone had access to it. Some used the cheap stuff, others paid for fancy perfumed blends. Imagine being fancy enough to bathe in lavender-infused olive oil while chatting politics with your buddy. That's Roman luxury, applied generously, then scraped off with a strigil curved metal blade. Now, once you're properly slick and shiny, it's time for the real magic. The strigil. The strigil was a curved metal blade, usually bronze or iron, not sharp like a knife, but smooth like a spoon's edge. Think of it as a squeegee for your body. Romans would take the strigil and start scraping. Long, slow strokes across the skin. It peeled away the oil, and with it came everything else. Dirt, sweat, dead skin, and probably your regrets from last night's wine feast. Some had personal slaves do it for them. Others did it themselves, or traded strigil duty with a friend. That's right. You scrape my back, I'll scrape yours. It was satisfying, like peeling off a face mask, except it was your entire body. The scraped oil and gunk called smegma, which, yes, sounds gross, was usually wiped onto a cloth. Some folks tossed it out, others used it to polish leather, or in super rare, super weird cases, it was collected and sold as medicine. Yeah, let's not dwell on that too long. Removes sweat, dirt, and worry. The Romans believed in cleanliness, but not just for hygiene. They saw it as moral. To clean your body was to clear your mind. Scraping off the grime wasn't just physical, it was emotional, almost spiritual. Had a stressful morning yelling at senators. Scrape it off. Got caught in a dusty street brawl over fish prices. Strigil it away. The bathhouse wasn't just for washing. It was therapy. The oil and strigil combo let you physically remove the weight of the day. Even athletes swore by it. After wrestling matches or training in the gymnasium, they'd oil up and scrape down. It kept their skin healthy and muscles relaxed. Think of it as the ancient version of a post-workout stretch and foam roll, just with more shine. And it felt good, like a massage mixed with exfoliation. You walked into the bathhouse stiff and dusty. You walked out feeling soft, refreshed, and slightly olive-scented. A satisfying, slow rhythm, most meditative. Now here's where it gets kind of beautiful. The process wasn't rushed. You didn't just slap on some oil and swipe once with this was slow, rhythmic, intentional. Long strokes down the arms, careful sweeps across the chest, deep scrapes down the legs, then again and again, until every inch of you felt new. People would chat during it, sure. But some preferred to zone out. It was one of the few times a Roman could just focus on themselves. No politics, no shouting, just the quiet sound of scraping and the scent of warm oil. It became a ritual, the same movements, the same tools, every day, like brushing your teeth, but more elegant and slippery. And when it was over, you hit the steam room, dipped in the hot baths, then the cold plunge, fully reborn. By the end of it, you weren't just clean, you were reset. In a world that was loud, messy, and often brutal, this daily moment of care was gold. Literal gold. If you were using the fancy oil, final thoughts, slippery, shiny, and seriously smart, so yeah, no soap. Just oil, metal, and mindfulness. The Romans figured out something we still forget. Self-care doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need 100 products. You need a few good tools, some quiet time, and the willingness to wipe away the day one slow stroke at a time. The strigil might look odd to us now, but back then, it was a wellness essential, a status symbol, a tool of peace. Next time you're scrubbing down in a rush, maybe pause and think Roman for a minute. Slow it down, soften the edges, add a little ritual to your routine. And if you happen to have a bottle of olive oil nearby, well, go ahead, channel your inner senator. Just maybe skip the part about collecting the leftovers. Chapter 5. Tepidarium, the warm embrace. The door opens with a quiet creak. Warm air kisses your face. Not hot, just cozy, like when you slide under a blanket that's been waiting for you. Welcome to the tepidarium. The name sounds fancy, but all it means is the warm room. It's the in-between space, not cold like the entrance, and not blazing like what's coming next. This is where the Roman bath ritual really starts to feel like a soft hug. You step in barefoot. The floor is smooth stone, warmed gently from beneath. Roman engineers knew how to work magic with heat hypocaust systems under the floor, heating the room without any fire in sight. No soot, no smoke, just even, perfect warmth rising from the earth itself. Not too hot, not too cold. Just right. The air is thick, but not heavy. It wraps around your body slowly, kindly. This isn't heat that pushes, it invites. Your skin starts to tingle, pores open like flowers at sunrise. Your muscles sigh, that weird knot in your shoulder. It starts to loosen, the ache in your feet, melting. This isn't a shock to the system, it's a gentle nudge, like the bathhouse is, saying, you made it, you're safe. You find a marble bench, already warm. You sit, or maybe recline just a little. Everyone's doing the same. Some are lying back with eyes closed. Others whisper soft conversations. No one raises their voice here. Why would they? The walls seem to hum with peace. Soft voices and steam whispers every now and then. A bit of mist drifts in from the next chamber, the caldarium, the hot room. But for now, this space is calm. A few drops of scented oil still linger on your skin from earlier. You catch a hint of lavender, maybe rosemary. The room smells faintly of clean stone and warm breath. Someone's quietly talking about the grain market. Another man is telling a slow, half-whispered joke. A woman nearby lets out a soft laugh. Not loud, just enough. It's the kind of laughter that belongs to people who have nowhere to be. Letting the mind catch up, that's the real gift of the tepidarium. You're not rushing. You're not sweating. You're not being scrubbed with a curved metal tool yet. You're just adjusting. This is the mental switch, from city stress to bodily peace. Outside, there are debts, family drama, maybe even rumors of war. But in here, time slows. You forget about minutes and tasks. You breathe deeper, slower, fuller. The mind follows the body, eventually. And here in the warmth, the chatter inside your head starts to dim. Built for balance, Roman architects knew what they were doing. They didn't build this room just because it looked nice. They understood how the body responds to layers of heat. Too cold, and the muscles stay tense. Too hot, too fast, and your heart races. So they designed this middle ground, a space to prepare, like a cozy introduction before the main act. The tepidarium was like the first page of a favorite book. or the small inhale before you dive into deep water. Some Romans stayed here longer than anywhere else, not because they were afraid of the heat ahead, but because this space felt just right. It was a kind of stillness they didn't get anywhere else. A place for connection. You look around again. There are friends here, lovers, strangers who don't seem strange at all. In the tepidarium you didn't need a title. You didn't need armor, just bare skin and a willingness to pause. Some people talked philosophy here, others shared gossip. Occasionally, you might even hear quiet singing from someone resting near. The back wall, the acoustics made everything sound like a lullaby. In a world full of marching, shouting, and coin counting, this room was rare. It was soft, it was human. Time. What time? There's no clock in the tepidarium, no schedule on the wall. You stay as long as your body asks you to. Some people drifted off for a short nap, others used the time to meditate. Some just listened to the rhythm of their own breath, matching it to the warmth rising from the floor, and every once in a while a small breeze from the door. A signal. It's time to move on, but not yet. You stretch a little, lean back, close your eyes. For now, the marble holds you like a cradle. The warmth seeps deeper into your bones. You're not ready to move just yet, and that's okay. A moment before the fire soon, you'll step into the caldarium, the hot room. That's where the serious sweating begins. But here, in the tepidarium, you've been gifted something subtle. It's not just body heat, it's permission. Permission to slow down, to breathe softer, to be quiet and warm and whole. And somehow, that's even better than a soak. Chapter 6. Caldarium. Steam and stillness. The door creaks again. And this time, the air doesn't just welcome you, it wraps around you. Warm turns to hot, mist thickens, your lungs feel it first, then your skin, then everything else. Welcome to the caldarium. This is the hot room, the heart of the Roman bathhouse, and trust me, it doesn't play around. You step in slowly, your bare feet touch stone that hums with heat from below. Every breath tastes like steam, and every pore on your body says, oh, we're really doing this now. Like soup, but you're the carrot. The heat here isn't dry, it's not harsh, it's heavy. Like stepping into a cloud made of warm towels and invisible hands, gently squeezing every muscle. There's a pool in the middle, deep, dark, and steaming. Around it, soft echoes bounce off marble walls. You see outlines of people, barely just silhouettes through the mist, like ancient shadows whispering stories of peace. Everyone's moving, slowly, talking softly, or just sitting as close, head tilted back. Some are soaking in the pool, arms floating, hair damp. Others lean against the walls, letting the steam soak into their bones. The breath becomes the music. You sit down. The stone is hot but not burning, just enough to remind you that you're here. You breathe in deep, then out, slower, deeper, and again. Soon, your breath becomes part of the rhythm of the room. In, out, quiet, still. This is the kind of stillness people chase their whole lives, and here it is gifted to you by stone, water, and fire. What's under the floor? Fire. Baby, quick nerd break. You can keep relaxing. Underneath you, hidden in chambers, is a full fire system called the hypercooler. Roman engineers were geniuses. They created these raised floors where hot air could move freely, heating the stone, the walls, and even the pools. No noisy machines, no hissing pipes, just fire, flowing air, and smart design. You don't see it, you don't need to. You feel it, in your back, your legs, your jaw, that tension you didn't even know you were carrying. Gone, melted into marble. Time slows, mind floats. In the caldarium, time changes. It slows down, stretches out, softens. You can't check a clock, there isn't one. And anyway, who cares? You're not here for deadlines. You're here to melt. Thoughts slow to the ones about bills, or jobs, or that embarrassing thing you said 3 years ago. Nope, they dissolve into the steam like sugar in tea. A ritual, not a luxury to us. This feels like a spa day. But to ancient Romans, this was routine, like brushing your teeth. Some came daily, others came to celebrate victories, or to recover from battles, or just to feel human again. And it wasn't just about hygiene, it was about balance, purging stress, softening anger, reconnecting with your body. In the caldarium, everyone was equal. Senators, soldiers, slaves, merchants. The steam didn't care what your name was. It just invited you to let go. You're not alone. Even in the steam, every so often, You hear a whisper nearby. Someone shuffles past. Maybe a hand dips into the water. A soft splash. A sigh. A cough. People are around you, but it doesn't feel crowded. It feels shared. Like everyone has silently agreed. We all need this. No one's bragging. No one's judging. Everyone's too busy breathing. Even if you came in tense, grumpy, or half broken, the heat changes you. You can't stay angry in here. The room won't let you. And then, the stillness sinks deeper. You close your eyes. Behind your lids, the red-orange glow of the heated air dances. Maybe you remember a good day. Maybe you don't think of anything at all. And that's the magic. The caldarium doesn't demand. It offers silence, heat, time, and stillness. And if you accept it, it gives you something rare, a full reset. Eventually, you rise. You don't want to move? Nobody does. But you feel your body say, okay, we're done here. You rise slowly, like lifting out of a dream. Your skin is flushed. Your breath is calm. You wipe sweat from your brow and take one last deep inhale. And then, step by step, you walk toward the next room, leaving a trail of steam behind you, like a ghost from a gentler world. Chapter 7. Aromatics and scented steam. All right, so you've oiled up, scraped down, and maybe even had a quick gossip session in the tepidarium. Now it's time to slip into one of the Romans' most underrated pleasures, the scented steam room. This wasn't your average sweaty chamber. No harsh bleach smell, no plastic benches. The Roman steam room was a viber, misty, fragrant cocoon that smelled like herbs and felt like heaven. Let's take a deep breath through the nose, obviously, and step into the soothing, scented world of ancient aromatics. Herbs tossed on hot stones, rosemary, bay leaves, lavender. Here's how it worked. At the heart of every Roman steam room, usually the laconicum or caldarium, was the heat source. Big, flat, hot stones warmed by a fire underneath. And what did the Romans do with those stones? They tossed herbs on top. Not just any herbs, rosemary, bay leaves, lavender, maybe some thyme or sage depending on the vibe. As the herbs hit the stones, they'd crackle, sizzle, and release a burst of scent into the room. Not too strong, not perfumey, just a warm, earthy, clean smell that floated through the mist like a dream. It wasn't about covering up odors, it was about enhancing the experience. Think less air freshener, more spiritual uplift. And yeah, sure, some of it was based on beliefs rather than science. But honestly, if you're sitting in a stone room wrapped in clouds of lavender-scented steam, who even cares? The air becomes fragrant. Imagine stepping inside that room. First, the heat hits you. Not a slap in the face, heat more like a blanket gently wrapping around your whole body. Then comes the smell. Rich rosemary, sweet bay, a hint of floral from lavender. You breathe it in and your shoulders drop a little. Your brain says, hey, maybe everything's not so bad after all. This wasn't just for the elite. Public baths had this too. Whether you were a senator with a full beard or a teenager running errands for your family, you walked into that mist and felt like royalty. The air itself became part of the therapy. Every breath was medicine. Not in a pill kind of way, but in a my lungs just smiled kind of way. And the best part, it was all natural. No candles, no diffusers, no bottled sprays, just fire, stone, and plants. It was like the original spa treatment, straight from nature into your nose. How Romans believed scents could balance mood and health. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. The Romans didn't just enjoy these smells, they believed in them deeply. They thought different herbs could balance the body and spirit. Lavender calmed anxiety, rosemary sharpened focus, bay leaves were good for the chest, mint helped you breathe easier. Basically, they had their own version of aromatherapy way before Instagram made it cool. Some doctors of the time, doctors, even wrote about it. They claimed certain scents could treat headaches, lift sadness, or help with sleep. And hey, were they wrong? Modern science has backed up some of it. To a Roman, bathing wasn't complete without scent. You cleansed the body with oil, scraped off the grime with a strigil, then soothed the spirit in a cloud of urban mist. It wasn't just self-care. It was a ritual of balance. Quiet moments inside scented mist. Now let's talk about the real magic. The stillness. You're sitting on a warm stone bench. The steam swirls around you, curling at your feet and rising past your face. You can barely see across the room. Voices are hushed. Everything's slowed down. No one's rushing. No one's checking the time. There is no time in here. Just heat and breath and the soft scent of rosemary curling in the air. This is where Romans unplugged, if that term existed. It was their version of a deep breath, a soft exhale, a moment of stillness between the noise. Some folks sat alone and meditated. Others whispered to a friend beside them. But mostly, it was peaceful, healing, grounding. That quiet, fragrant fog gave people space to think, to reflect, to stop pretending they had it all together. In a world full of drama, war, and endless political backstabbing, this was the reset button, and they hit it every single day. Final thoughts: breathe in, breathe out, be Roman. So what do we take from all this? Maybe it's that we don't always need the newest gadget or the fanciest product to feel better. Sometimes, all it takes is a little heat, a little plant power, and a moment to just sit still. The Romans figured out something was still. Chasing peace can be found in the breath, in scent, in slowing down. You don't need a marble bathhouse to enjoy that. Light some herbs, take a hot shower, breathe deeply, let the scent wrap around you like a Roman steam cloud. And if someone asks what you're doing, just smile and say, I'm bathing like a Roman. Chapter 8. The Cold Plunge Frigidarium. Okay, so you just melted into a puddle of sleepy bones in the caldarium. Your muscles, jelly, your brain, on airplane mode. You're floating, peaceful, steam-saturated. But now, it's time to wake up. And how do Romans wake up? Not with espresso, not with loud music. Nope, they jump into ice water. Welcome to the Frigidarium, or as your body calls it. Oh no, no but is happening. First step, regret. The room hits different. You walk in, and the air smacks you in the face like a frosty handshake from the north wind himself. Gone is the steam and warmth. Now it's cool, sharp, echoing. The pool sits there quietly, still, clear as glass, cold as betrayal. You know what's coming, but your toes are already second-guessing everything. Let's talk Roman nerve damage. Just kidding. Kind of Romans loved this contrast. They believed the cold plunge sealed in the benefits of the hot rooms. Heat opened the pores, cold snapped them shut. It tightened the skin, woke up the senses, made sure you didn't walk out of the bathhouse a sleepy, overheated noodle. Basically, the cold plunge was the Roman reboot button. CTRL plus Alt plus ice bath. You step in, and instantly question everything. First foot in, shock. Second foot in, regret. Then your knees. Then your whole soul leaves your body. The water is frigid, not cool, not brisk. This is mountain snow cold. This is did I offend the gods? Cold, but something wild happens. Right after the gasp comes the clarity. The brain wakes up before the body does. It's like someone flips a switch. Your thoughts, sluggish from the heat, sharpen. Colors seem brighter, sounds crisper. You're awake, fully, heart pounding, blood pumping, eyes wide. You're alive, not just existing alive. Like, I could wrestle a lion alive. You shouldn't, but you could. Why Romans swore by the plunge to the ancient Romans. This wasn't just a thrill, it was medicine. Cold water was seen as sacred and purifying. Hippocrates, yep, that guy praised cold therapy for inflammation and fatigue. Others believed it chased out bad humors, or balanced the inner elements, earth, air, fire, and water. But even without the science, you feel it. It works. And just like that, you float, you lie back, just for a moment. The cold doesn't stab anymore. Now it holds you, softly, firmly. You float, eyes on the painted ceiling, up of sky blue with scenes of dolphins and nymphs. And in this weird mix of calm and cold, you feel perfect. Not warm, not cold, balanced, as if your body says, thank you for doing something insane but good. Time to get out before you turn into a popsicle. You don't stay long. That's the secret. Just a minute or two. Just enough. You rise, dripping, skin tingling, head clear. Someone hands you a cloth. Or maybe you grab one off the side bench. You dry off slowly. No rush. You did it. You survived the cold. More than survived, it woke you up in the best way. A jolt for the soul. We chase clarity these days in a million ways. Coffee, meds, mindfulness apps. But the Romans, they just jumped into a bucket of glacial water, and maybe they had a point. It wasn't just about health. It was about contrast, about experiencing extremes, heat and cold, stillness and shock, so your body knew where the middle was, so you could walk out into the world and say, yes, I have been boiled and chilled today, and now I am at peace. Chapter 9. Massage. And muscle melting alright, so you've been steamed, scraped, and steeped in herbs. You're feeling good, really good. But the Romans weren't done yet. Nope, they had one more layer of luxury tucked into their bathhouse routine. Welcome to the grand finale. Massage, not a quick shoulder rub, not a friendly pat. We're talking full body, muscle melting therapy, Roman style. Let's dive into how ancient Rome turned tired bodies into puddles of bliss, with nothing but strong hands and a little oil. Bath slaves trained in massage, firm pressure, soft oils now. This wasn't some casual thing. The Romans had specialists for this. In the bathhouses, certain slaves were trained to massage like pros. These weren't random helpers. These were basically the deep tissue therapists of their time. They knew where the pain sat. They knew how to find knots. And they weren't afraid to dig in. But here's the thing, it wasn't all brute force. It was a dance of firm pressure and soft oils. Picture this, you're lying on a marble bench, the heat still lingering on your skin from the steam room. Then, a pair of skilled hands pour warm olive oil on your back, and the magic begins. First, slow strokes to wake up the muscles, then deeper pressures, steady, rhythmic, confident. They worked your shoulders, your neck, your calves like they were kneading dough. The oils weren't just for glide, they were part of the experience. Sometimes plain olive, sometimes perfumed with herbs or citrus. You'd leave the bathhouse smelling like a walking garden. And if you had the coin, you could hire the best. Some masseurs were famous in their circles. Whispers in the bathhouse, that guy, hands like the gods, specific strokes for sore backs, tight legs. This wasn't guesswork. The Romans had a system. Different strokes for different problems. You had stiff shoulders, they'd use cross strokes to open things up. Tight calves from too much walking. Downward pressure with the heel of the hand. Back pain, long, sweeping strokes from the lower spine up to the neck. And don't forget the feet. Roman roads were no joke. After walking across hot stones and muddy streets in sandals, your feet deserved a moment of glory. So yes, they got massaged too. The goal wasn't just to feel good though, it definitely did. It was to reset the body, loosen the joints, improve blood flow, ease tension. Basically, it was ancient physical therapy disguised as pure luxury. And they weren't shy about it either. If your friend walked into the bathhouse stiff and cranky, and walked out looking like he just took a nap on Mount Olympus, you knew he got the good massage. Relaxation turns into complete surrender at a certain point. You stop thinking. The mind shuts off. The body just melts. That's what Roman massage did. It wasn't just relaxation, it was surrender. The bathhouse faded away. The chatter, the echo, the heat. It all blurred. There was only the hands, the warmth, and your breath. Some folks even fell asleep mid-massage, which, honestly, is the highest compliment you can give a masseur. And there was no shame in it. Letting go was part of the ritual. The Romans didn't believe in toughing it out or working through the pain. If you were hurting, you got massaged, period. Even soldiers battle-hardened and bruised lined up for post-fight treatments. Because even warriors needed a good rub-down, and once it was done, you didn't just feel lighter, you felt reborn. Like someone hit reset on your nervous system. Some say the massage was the real reason people came to the baths. Not the steam, not the oil, not even the gossip. Just those hands. Healing hands of Rome. People used to talk about them, the healing hands of Rome. Not some magical spell, not a potion or priest, just people, trained to touch in the right way, at the right time, and it worked. It healed. For centuries, massage was a respected part of Roman health. Doctors recommended it. Athletes swore by it. Even emperors made time for it. If you had a body, and you do, massage was considered essential. It wasn't a treat, it was a tool. The healing hands weren't just soothing muscles, they were restoring spirits, tired from politics, from walking, from life, and that power to calm and connect through touch is something we still chase today. Sure, our spas have cucumber water now, but deep down we're all still looking for the same thing. Final thoughts, strong hands, soft oils, and a simpler way to heal. So, what did the Romans teach us here? That sometimes the best medicine doesn't come in a bottle. It comes from presence, from hands that know what they're doing, from taking the time to unwind before everything gets knotted up. Massage wasn't some bonus round. It was the grand finale, the moment where the day's weight lifted, the stress slipped away, and the body said, "Thanks, I needed that." And honestly, We could all use a little more of that. So if life feels heavy, if your shoulders are creeping up toward your ears, if your legs feel like concrete, do what the Romans did. Find some oil, lie down, let someone trained in the art of healing touch. Press pause on the chaos, because melting isn't just allowed, it's necessary. Chapter 10, Social Baths and Quiet Politics. Alright, so you've steamed, soaked, and shivered your way through the Roman bathhouse. Your body's clean, your skin's glowing, and your muscles basically melted butter. But here's the thing, this isn't just a spa day, it's also networking day. Because in ancient Rome, bathing wasn't just about hygiene, it was about who you bathed next to. Welcome to the world's steamiest office. Picture this, you walk into the tepid, warm, cozy, marble floors, a soft hum of voices echoing off vaulted ceilings, steam drifting lazily through sunlight slanting in from above. And who's sitting on the bench next to you? Oh, just a senator, maybe a poet, maybe that guy who owns half the grain supply of Rome. Yeah, you're not just sharing warmth, you're sharing proximity to power. Everyone was there. The bathhouse didn't care about class. Okay, maybe a little bit. There were fancy thermi for the rich, and smaller ones for commoners, but in general, everyone showed up. Patricians, merchants, artists, soldiers. If you lived in Rome, chances are you ended up in the same steam as someone more powerful than you at some point. And that, my friend, was your moment. Deals were whispered, not signed. Rome didn't have conference rooms with PowerPoint and handshakes. They had benches in the steam room. Here's how it went. Two men sit in silence. One nods, the other nods back. A quiet word about a land sale. A whispered name for a new magistrate. A laugh. A clap on the shoulder. And just like that, a decision is made. No paper, no press. Just water, heat, and subtle influence. The art of casual power moves the real trick. Looking relaxed while secretly working your connections. Ah, Lucius. What a surprise seeing you here again. Not really a surprise, you've been timing your bath schedule to match his for a week. Did you hear about the new tax on olive oil exports? Slips in your political opinion casually. Shame if it hurt your estate near Hispania. Hint, hint, vote my way next week. That's Roman diplomacy. Shirtless with sandals. In steam. And let's not forget the gossip. The Roman bathhouse was also the place to catch up on the latest scandals. Who's sleeping with whose wife? Who bribed the temple priests? Which senator got caught wearing a toga backwards? Steam loosened tongues. People spoke freely, thinking the mist kept secrets. Spoiler, it didn't. Philosophers, to not everyone was scheming deals. Some were just thinking. Plotinus, Seneca, Epictetus. Imagine two toga-clad men pacing slowly along a mosaic floor, pausing mid-thought to say, if virtue is the only good, does that make hot water a moral distraction? To which the other replies, no, but you're definitely distracting the guy trying to scrub his back. Welcome to Ancient TED Talk, Spa Edition. The Massage Whisper Network. Even the masseuses and oil bearers knew things. They heard stuff, important stuff. After all, when you're the guy massaging a senator's shoulders, he might let something slip, or he might want you to slip that news to someone else. Information flowed just like the warm water in those pipes. Power and peace, side by side, and somehow it all worked. You had senators, merchants, philosophers, and even gladiators sometimes side by side, half-dressed and halfway to sleep. There was something humanizing about it. In that space no one had a sword, no one had a title carved above their head, just warm water, soft conversation, and the quiet understanding that tomorrow, the politics would start again. But tonight was about soaking in the heat and, maybe, just maybe, getting someone important to like you. It wasn't all backstabbing and deals sometimes. It was just community. Men laughing softly over shared wine. A boy learning politics just by listening. Old friends catching up after years at war. In the end, the bathhouse reminded people that they were human. Skin and bone, warmth and worry, all steaming quietly together under the same arched roof. So next time you step into your modern shower, just imagine this. Behind you, Cicero's whispering policy ideas. Next to you, two merchants are exchanging gossip over soap. And in the corner, a poet is scribbling lines with wet fingers on tile. Because in Rome, even bath time was history in the making. Chapter 11. Baths for the common soul. So far, it sounded pretty luxurious, right? Oil massages, scented steam, marble benches, golden light filtering through domes. You might be thinking, okay, this was clearly for the rich guys in togas with personal strigil boys and scroll-reading assistants. But here's the twist. Roman baths weren't just for the wealthy. They were for everyone. In fact, the real magic of the Roman bathhouse wasn't in the marble or mosaics. It was in the way it welcomed all walks of life, from powerful senators to street vendors and slaves. This was one of the rare places in ancient Rome where the city truly came together. So let's step into a place where class faded, steam rose, and everyone, rich, poor, young, old, soaked in the same warm water. Baths weren't just for the rich. Let's clear something up. Yes, Rome had some fancy bathhouses, the kind with columns, fountains, statues, maybe a guy playing the lyre in the corner for no reason, and the rich loved those spots. But for every posh bathing palace, there were dozens of public bathhouses scattered across the city. These weren't private clubs, these were open doors, big pools, and a whole lot of steam for anyone who wanted in. You didn't need a title, you didn't need a villa, you didn't even need shoes, just a few coins, or sometimes none at all, and boom, you were in. Even the emperor supported this. Why? Because clean, relaxed citizens were happy citizens, and happy citizens didn't riot. Also, let's be honest, it's easier to enjoy ruling when the people around you don't smell like week old fish. Public baths were free or cheap for most citizens. Now here's the beautiful part. These baths were cheap, like ridiculously cheap. Some were completely free, thanks to emperors who wanted to boost their public image. Gotta love a ruler who says, "Here, have some hot water on me." Others charged a small fee, just enough to keep the place running. But even the poorest Romans could usually afford it once in a while, and if you couldn't pay, there were often public bath tokens handed out, kind of like a spa version of free lunch. Inside, it didn't matter how much you paid to get in. Everyone got the same water, the same steam, the same shot at a good scrub. You could show up with nothing but a towel and still leave feeling like royalty. Shared spaces created unity now. Imagine this. The baker who just pulled bread from the oven slides into the caldarium next to a guy who's been arguing in court all morning. A soldier with a bruised arm sits near an old poet muttering Latin lines under his breath. Kids run past. Friends wave. Someone complains about taxes. Welcome to the bathhouse. It was chaotic, crowded, and yet somehow peaceful. This wasn't just a place to get clean, it was a social mixer. People chatted, argued, laughed, and sometimes just sat quietly side by side. The baths brought Rome's crazy layered society into one room and said, "Strip down, sit down, you're all just people in towels now." There's something deeply human about that. No armor, no silk robes, just steam, sweat, and the sound of water echoing off stone walls. Even class tension took a back seat here. Maybe not forever, but for a few hours, everyone was equal in the steam. Peaceful equality in warm water. It's easy to forget how loud and harsh life in ancient Rome could be. Crowded streets, shouting vendors, dust, heat, smoke. And for most people, life wasn't glamorous. It was hard. So stepping into the bathhouse, it was like breathing for the first time all day. Warm water hugged tired muscles. Voices softened. The echo of laughter mixed with the splash of buckets. Maybe someone passed you a piece of fruit. Maybe someone helped you reach a spot you couldn't scrub yourself. In that space, peace was possible. Not political peace, not economic peace. Just the simple kind that comes from feeling safe, clean, and not alone. That's what made Roman baths more than just buildings. They were sanctuaries, and they belonged to everyone. Final thoughts. A city in the steam, so yeah, the Romans built big things. Roads, aqueducts, colosseums. But one of their greatest ideas, a place where everyone could come to rest, to talk, to soak, to let go of the noise and just be. The baths didn't erase poverty. They didn't fix the empire. But they gave people moments. Real, human moments. And sometimes, that's more powerful than anything else. Next time you take a long shower after a rough day, or sit in a hot tub with friends, remember this: you're part of a tradition. A long, steamy, towel-wrapped tradition of people trying to find a little peace in the middle of a messy world. Rome may have fallen, but that feeling, still here. Chapter 12. Women's hours and private baths. You might think Roman baths were all toga-clad men talking politics and sweating out olive oil. And yeah, that was a big part of it. But the story doesn't stop there. Because Roman women, they bathed too. They had their own rituals, their own spaces, and a whole vibe that felt more like a spa day with spiritual energy than a Senate meeting in steam. Let's step into the softer side of the thermi. Timing was everything. Roman society wasn't exactly big on equal access. So public baths, they weren't always open to everyone at the same time. Instead, bathhouses had designated hours, or days just for women. Sometimes it was mornings for the ladies, afternoons for the men. Other times, whole days were blocked off, and in some places, they had totally separate entrances and spaces. No awkward toga mix-ups. Thank you very much. These women's hours were peaceful, private, and filled with soft chatter. Less shouting, fewer politics, and a lot more rose oil. Not all baths were public now. If you were rich like owning a villa in Capri, Richu didn't even need the public thermi. Wealthy Roman women often had private baths right at home. Imagine it. A beautiful marble room, sunlight streaming in from a high window, the scent of lavender in the air. Maybe a maid bringing warm towels. Maybe a quiet breeze fluttering through. Silk curtains. That wasn't just luxury. That was normal for the elite. Anyway, for them, bathing was more than hygiene. It was a daily ritual of calm, of presence, of feeling human again in a world that didn't always treat them like equals. Beauty and rituals. Bathing wasn't just about washing off the dust of the forum. It was about reclaiming the body, tending to the skin, relaxing the muscles, and, sometimes, whispering a quiet prayer. Women rubbed themselves with perfumed oils like myrrh, cinnamon, and rose. They used scrapers to gently cleanse their skin. They sat by mirrors, applying herbal pastes and thick creams, what we might call spa masks today. And they did it all together. It wasn't rushed, it wasn't loud, it was calm, it was feminine, and it was powerful in its own way. The sacred in the steam for some baths weren't just about the body, they were about the soul. Women often whispered prayers during their bath. To Venus, goddess of beauty, to Juno, protector of women, to Fortuna, for a bit of luck. Candles flickered, chants echoed softly down mosaic-lined halls. Steam rose like incense. In those quiet hours, the bath became something holy, a temple of calm, a place to let go of grief, or fear, or just exhaustion. Soft laughter and sisterhood now. Don't get the wrong idea, this wasn't some stiff, silent ritual. There was laughter too, giggles drifting from the warm pools, a funny story told through clouds of steam, a joke about a husband's terrible sandals, a whispered crush on a young poet seen at the market. These moments mattered, because outside the bathhouse, women had limits. But inside, for a few precious hours, they could just be. The bathhouse was one of the few places where women had space to talk, to think, to joke, to breathe, and sometimes gossip. Let's be real. Some secrets got traded with the towels. Who was expecting a child? Whose husband hadn't come home last night? Which noble lady had a new necklace suspiciously fast after her mourning period ended? Bathhouse gossip wasn't cruel, it was survival. Because in ancient Rome, information was power, and women, clever as ever, knew how to keep their ears open and their mouths only slightly shut. Motherhood, sisterhood, stillness. Young girls came too. Mothers brought daughters. Old women passed down recipes, herbal soaks for cramps, salves for aching joints. Generations gathered in the steam. No statues, no inscriptions, just stories. They sang lullabies, braided each other's hair, shared dates and honey, whispered about dreams, in a world that expected so much from them. These hours were everything. Baths as resistance, and maybe bathing was its own quiet kind of rebellion. Because when you took the time to soothe your skin, to laugh with friends, to pray softly for protection or peace, you were telling the world, I may not hold a title, I may not cast a vote, but I am still human, and I deserve to feel clean, calm, and whole. So next time you picture ancient Rome, don't just see statues and battles. See this, a warm room, women gathered in steam, soft laughter, a flicker of candlelight on polished stone, and the sound of water healing, humming, and holy, because they bathed too, and in their own way, they ruled the steam. Chapter 13, Healing Waters and Sacred Springs. So, picture this, you're walking through a lush green valley. The air smells like wet earth and wild herbs. Birds chirp somewhere above and up ahead. Steam rises gently from a pool that looks like it's been waiting for you for centuries. Welcome to the sacred springs of ancient Rome. This isn't just another stop in the bathhouse routine. This is where water, belief, and healing meet. And tonight, we're soaking in something deeper than just warm water. Not just any pool you see. Not all Roman baths were built in cities or towns. Some were set right next to natural hot springs. Places where water bubbled up from the ground, already warm, already full of minerals. Romans loved that stuff. They believed these springs were blessed by the gods. And honestly, it's hard to blame them. Imagine slipping into a warm pool surrounded by trees and cliffs. Your body relaxes, your breath slows, and even if you don't believe in magic, still feel something sacred. The temple next door, it wasn't just hot water. These springs were often right next to temples. That's right, soaking came with ceremony. You might light a candle, offer a coin to the goddess, Soothe or Minerva, whisper a prayer for healing, or for strength, or for a little less back pain. Thank you very much. It was a whole process. Ritual first, soak second, reflect always. People didn't rush it. There was no splashing, no cannonballs, just quiet respect. Because when the gods warmed the water, you soaked with gratitude. Water with a reputation. Now let's talk about what was in that water. We're talking minerals, sulfur, iron, calcium, stuff that made the water smell a little eggy sometimes. But hey, it was healing eggy. These minerals were believed to cure joint pain, skin issues, fevers, and all kinds of things that medieval folks had no other fix for. People came from miles away just to sit in it, sometimes for hours, sometimes for days, and sometimes they brought grandma, the kids, and a prayer scroll for good measure. Soft prayers in the steam, even if you weren't religious. Being there made you feel something. Picture it, steam rising like incense, a mother whispering over her child's fevered brow, an old soldier praying for his bones to stop aching, a young woman hoping for a healthy child. They didn't shout, they didn't demand, they just let their words float up into the mist, soft, hopeful, and a little scared. Because in times when medicine didn't help, you turned to water and whispers. Offerings in the waters, and they didn't come empty-handed. People left gifts in the springs, tiny statues, bronze coins, little carved tablets with messages scratched in. Something like, "Dear Goddess, my knees hurt, please fix them." Or maybe, "If you heal my son, I promise to stop swearing at my neighbor." The water became a diary of the people, their hopes, their pain, their awkward promises to behave if the gods would just give them one more day of health. The priests and healers at some springs. There were priests or even healers who lived nearby. They'd mix the sacred water with herbs, say a blessing over a wound, or tell you when to soak, and for how long. It wasn't just bath time, it was a whole experience. And sometimes it worked. Other times it just felt like it did. But that feeling, that hope, sometimes it was enough. The silence that heals, you know what made these springs really magical? Silence. The kind that wraps around you like a warm towel. The kind that doesn't rush you or ask questions. Just quiet. Steam, a breeze, a heartbeat, a sense that somehow you're not alone. That silence was part of the ritual too. It gave people room to breathe, to cry, to let go. Legends left behind even after people left the springs. Their stories stayed. Villagers whispered about the man who couldn't walk till he soaked under the full moon, or the child who nearly died till her mother bathed her here. 3 mornings in a row. Were they true? Maybe, but truth wasn't always the point. Belief was, because when the world got heavy, and your body ached, and your heart felt tired, sometimes you needed more than just hot water. You needed a little faith, a final dip before sunset. So next time you imagine ancient Rome, don't just think of colosseums and marching soldiers. Think of this, a stone pool tucked between hills, the water warm, the wind gentle, a whisper of prayer in the air, and someone just like you closing their eyes, letting go of pain, and soaking in peace. Because in ancient Rome, bathing wasn't just for the body, it was for the soul. And here, in these sacred waters, both could rest. Chapter 14, Sounds of the Thermi. Let's take a moment. Close your eyes. Okay, not literally, you're reading. And imagine this, you're in a Roman bathhouse. It's warm. Steam hangs in the air like a foggy morning. You've already been scraped, oiled, maybe massaged if you were lucky. But now, you just sit. You breathe, and you listen. Because one thing that made Roman baths so special besides the warm water, herbs, and massage magic was the sound. Welcome to the Thermi soundtrack. No flutes, no harps, no Spotify, just the real, honest noise of humans relaxing together. And it was beautiful. Water trickling, voices echoing, soft sandals on stone, the first sound you'd notice. Water, not crashing waves, not waterfalls, just gentle trickling from fountains, pipes, and streams that fed the pools. You'd hear warm water slipping from spouts into marble basins, a steady splash here, a bubbling flow there, like the bathhouse itself was breathing. Then came the voices, soft conversations in Latin, echoes bouncing gently off high stone walls, laughter, whispers, maybe a bit of gossip. Did you see Lucius in the caldarium with that senator's wife? It wasn't loud, but it filled the space. And under it, also, thin leather soles sliding over smooth floors, the shuffle of feet on warm stone, sometimes slow, sometimes quick, always light. It wasn't music, it was atmosphere, a soft, ancient mix of water, voices, and movement. And once you settled into it, you didn't want to leave. The quiet soundtrack of a Roman bathhouse. You might think ancient bathhouses were noisy places, crowded, busy, chaotic. But here's the surprise. They were actually kind of quiet. Not silent, just calm. Everything was muted by the steam. The echo softened things. Conversations slowed down. Even the kids playing in the frigidarium learned to keep their splashes mellow. Well, sometimes. No shouting, no barking, no city traffic honking outside. Just this strange, peaceful blend of gentle noise that made the whole bathhouse feel like a sacred space even if it was packed. You didn't need silence to relax. You needed rhythm. The low hum of everyday life, slowed down and wrapped in warmth. Some called it the bathhouse's heartbeat. Was there, always pulsing, never rushing. Why these familiar sounds became part of the healing process. Here's the coolest part. Those sounds weren't just background noise. They were part of the healing. The human brain loves patterns. It loves sounds that repeat, sounds that make us feel safe. And over time, the soundtrack of the Thermi became exactly that. For a Roman citizen, just hearing those bathhouse sounds before even stepping inside could ease tension. Like your brain saying, oh yeah, I remember this, I'm home. Water trickling equals comfort. Soft sandals equals peace. Echoed voices equals community. Even if you were sore, tired, or just had a rough morning arguing in the forum, the sound of the Thermi said, you're okay now. No one taught this. No scroll explained it. People just felt it. Day after day, year after year, they let the bathhouse sounds carry them back to balance. It wasn't just about getting clean. It was about getting quiet inside. Final thoughts, echoes that never fully fade. The Roman baths are long gone. Most of them are ruins now. Broken stone, empty pools, cracked tiles. But if you ever visit one and really stand still, you'll notice something. Maybe it's in your imagination, or maybe it's something deeper. You might hear it. That trickle, that hush, that soft sound of sandals on stone. And suddenly, you're not in a ruin. You're in a room full of steam and life. You're back in the Thermi. Because some sounds don't need recordings. They live in memory, in rhythm, in our bones. And just maybe, when you next run a hot bath, or listen to a tap drip, or walk barefoot across a tile floor, you'll hear the ancient echo, and your body will sigh. Ah, there it is. Chapter 15. Light and shadow. Bathhouse. Aesthetics. Alright. We've talked about steam, scents, scraping, and sandals. But now it's time to look up. Literally. Because one of the most underrated pleasures of the Roman bathhouse wasn't the water, the massage, or the heated floors. It was the light and the shadow. The way space itself felt like part of the therapy. Bathhouses weren't just built to function. They were built to soothe. Not just your muscles, but your eyes and your spirit. So let's step into the calmest corner of the Thermi and just look around. You're about to find out that architecture can be medicine too. High domes, oculus, skylights, glowing candles, Roman architects. Total show-offs, but in the best way. When they built bathhouses, they didn't go small. They went massive. We're talking ceilings so high you'd get a neck cramp just admiring them. Giant domes rising above the main rooms, like upside-down bowls holding the sky. In the center of some domes, there was a magical little feature called the oculus, a round opening that let natural light pour in from above. No glass, just a clean, open eye to the heavens. During the day, the oculus turned the bathhouse into a slow-motion light show. Sunlight would stream through and drift down into the steam, catching every swirl like it was dancing. And when the sun went down, candles, dozens of them, set in stone niches, carried in hand, or tucked behind columns, flickering gold across walls, mosaics, and marble. Their soft glow made everything shimmer. The combo of dome, oculus, and flame. It didn't just light the room, it gave the whole place a heartbeat. Sunlight pouring in, steam catching the rays. Now imagine standing in the Caldera Muirskin, still tingling from heat. The air is thick with scented mist, and above you, a beam of sunlight slips through the oculus like a spotlight from the gods. It hits the rising steam just right, and suddenly, the whole room glows like a dream. That wasn't an accident. Romans knew what they were doing. They understood how light and water could make magic. The sunlight didn't just warm the room, it made it feel alive. Every movement of air, every drifting curl of steam, became a dance. It was calming, hypnotic. You didn't just feel like you were in a bath, you felt like you were in a temple of light. Even the walls helped. Polished marble bounced the sunlight around, softening it, so even the brightest beam didn't feel harsh, it felt gentle, like a sun hug. Calm shadows dancing on mosaic tiles, and where there's light, there's shadow. Now don't get spooky. These weren't creepy shadows. These were soft ones, peaceful ones, the kind that made the bathhouse feel safe and quiet. As the sun moved across the sky, the shadows moved to play. They slipped along the floor. They shifted on the walls. You'd see the silhouette of a potted plant sway, the edge of a column stretch out like it was taking a nap. Mosaic tiles caught the show best. You'd have these wild little floor designs, geometric patterns, sea creatures, scenes from myth sand. The shifting light made them feel like they were breathing. Even the corners of the bathhouse weren't neglected. Gentle light, filtered through steam, would wrap those corners in a soft grey-blue haze. The result, no sharp edges, no stress, just flow. It was like the entire space whispered, "Relax, you're exactly where you need to be." Architecture designed to soothe the eyes and spirit. At the end of the day, this was all on purpose. Roman architects weren't just building structures, they were building experiences. They knew how light affected mood, how space changed energy, how color, curve, and glow could calm a nervous mind. They placed benches under just the right window. They aligned doorways to catch the golden hour. They carved high ceilings to draw your eyes up, and your thoughts with them. Everything was designed to soothe. Even the sound of footsteps echoed in a soft way. Even the cold plunge pool had a little light shimmer to make it less scary. It was all carefully crafted so you didn't have to think, you just felt better. They didn't have modern psychology. They didn't have words like wellness, architecture, but they got it. They understood that healing wasn't just physical, it was emotional, and the space around you played a huge role. Final thoughts, a temple of warmth and light. So yeah, Roman bathhouses were clean, steamy, and relaxing, but they were also beautiful. The light, the shadow, the echo, the glow. You didn't just wash your body there, you washed your mind, your thoughts, your mood. The buildings themselves were part of the ritual. You walked in with heavy shoulders, you looked up, you saw the sunlight catch the mist, and something inside you said, "I can breathe here." We chased this feeling to daycom cafes, moody yoga studios, fancy spa lighting, but the Romans, they were already doing it, thousands of years ago, with stone, fire, and sky. So next time you catch sunlight coming through a window just right, stop for a second, breathe it in, let the light find you. And remember, you're not just standing in a room, you're standing in a tradition, a quiet art of healing, shaped by shadow and shine. Chapter 16. Bathhouse Etiquette, the unspoken rules. She stepped into the Roman baths. Warm air hugs your skin. The marble is smooth under your feet. Steam dances in the light. You're not here to shout. You're not here to splash. You're here to soak, relax, and follow the rules. Yes, there were rules. Not the kind written on a sign, but the kind everyone just knew. Tonight, let's talk about bathhouse etiquette, the quiet codes, the unspoken glances, the things that made a Roman bath feel like a second home. First rule, no splashing. Seriously, let's start with the obvious. You see that giant pool of water? It's not a playground. It's not a spot for cannonballs or belly flops. Splashing was a no-no. No matter how tempting, you were supposed to slide in slowly. like a seal, not jump in like a fish escaping a net. People came here to chill, not to get water up the nose. Respect the soak. Second rule, keep the volume down. Roman baths were busy. People chatting, laughing softly, exchanging ideas, advice, and maybe some gossip, but shouting, yelling across the room. Oh no, that was bad manners. The vibe was peaceful, like a spa crossed with a library. You could whisper to your friend, you could nod at your neighbor, but if you tried to start a heated debate about olive prices while someone was meditating in the steam, yeah, you'd get a few annoyed sutties. Third rule, look, don't stare. Bathing was public. You saw a lot of everything, but the rule was simple. Act like it's no big deal. If someone walked past in the nude, you didn't gawk, you didn't point, you just nodded politely and returned to your soak. It was all about respect. We're all just humans in warm water, after all. Fourth rule, no drama. Please arguments, fights, save it for the marketplace. In the bathhouse, people came to let go of stress, to leave their troubles at the door. You didn't bring politics or personal feuds into the steam room. If you had a grudge, cool off first, literally, then maybe talk it out in the tepidarium over a slow massage. Fifth rule, respect the space, don't hog the bench. Don't leave oil stains everywhere. Don't drip across the floor like you're marking territory. Romans liked order, cleanliness, harmony. So after you used a strigil to scrape off oil and sweat, you cleaned it. You left the marble smooth for the next person. Think of it like sharing a couch, a hot, steamy, ancient couch. Sixth rule, be present. This one's a little softer. There were no scrolls allowed in the bath, no business ledgers, no long speeches. The bath was a space for stillness, connection, presence. You didn't rush. You didn't plan your whole day. While soaking, you simply were. Breathe in, breathe out. Let the heat do its work. The gentle glance. Roman bathhouses had a whole language of quiet gestures. A small bow to greet someone, a hand raised in thanks, a soft smile when someone passed the oil. It wasn't loud, it wasn't flashy, but it made the space feel human. Even strangers shared in the ritual, in the silence, in the steam, the community in calm. What's beautiful about Roman bathhouse etiquette is that it wasn't about rules for the sake of rules. It was about creating a collective calm. Everyone, from the poorest farmer to the richest senator, came here to feel human again, to clean the body, clear the mind, and maybe make a friend or two along the way. That only worked when people respected the moment. The silent connection. There's something powerful in sitting beside someone in silence. No pressure to talk, no need to impress. Just the soft hum of shared peace, the warmth of water, the scent of herbs, the simple, quiet knowing, we're all in this together. Roman baths weren't just for the body. They were a kind of social soul stroke. Ending the session gracefully. When your time was up, you didn't storm out. You dried off slowly. You nodded to the others. You stepped back into your sandals, feeling just a little softer, a little clearer. The warmth stayed with you, not just in your skin, but in your mood. Final thoughts. So tonight, if your mind is busy and the world feels noisy, take a deep breath and imagine stepping into the peace of a Roman bath. No phones, no pressure, just warm air, soft glances, and the comforting knowledge that everyone around you is simply relaxing. That's bathhouse etiquette, the ancient kind, still useful today. Chapter 17. Rituals of repetition. All right, let's talk about the stuff we do every day, the little things. Morning coffee, brushing teeth, that weird stretch you do before getting out of bed. We barely think about them. But if someone takes those things away, suddenly we're lost. Now imagine you're in ancient Rome. What's your daily thing? For a lot of Romans, the answer was simple. The bath. Every single day. That wasn't over the top. That wasn't spa day. That was normal life. And in this chapter, we're diving into how the daily rhythm of Roman bathing didn't just keep people clean, it calmed them. It gave structure. It gave peace. It gave life a little meaning. One warm splash at a time. Some Romans bathed every single day. Yep, every day. Rain or shine. Hot or cold. Rich or poor. Busy or bored, Romans made time to bathe. Now, were there exceptions? Sure, soldiers out on campaign weren't hitting the baths at the front line. But back in the city, if you skipped your daily soak, people noticed. Some Romans even bathed multiple times a day, especially the rich. They'd stop in mid-morning, maybe again in the afternoon, and sometimes just before dinner. like a full body reset button. But for most folks, the big trip happened in the afternoon. Work was done. The sun was still up. You grabbed your towel, a bit of oil, maybe a friend or two, and headed to the bathhouse. And it wasn't a 5-minute dip. You took your time. Warm rooms, cold pools, oil scrapes, scented steam. Same order, same flow, same rhythm day in, day out. Some people came just to unwind, others to talk. A few just wanted to sit in silence. But they all came for that daily hit of reset. The body adapted to the rhythm, and so did the mind. Here's what's wild: after a while, your body starts expecting it. You wake up, do your day, and by mid-afternoon, you feel it. The need for warmth, for steam, for that first scoop of oil across your shoulders. Even if the bathhouse was crowded, even if you had 1,000 things on your to-do list, your body knew, time to unwind now. It was like muscle memory, not just physical, but mental too. The mind began to settle into the same rhythm. Stress built up in the morning, but instead of snapping or spiraling, you knew the bath was waiting. Your breath got slower just walking there. Romans didn't have a word for mindfulness, but they understood it in their bones. The bathhouse wasn't a luxury escape, it was the anchor that kept their day from drifting into madness. Rituals brought a sense of peace, purpose, and inner balance at its core. This was about more than hot water. It was about ritual. Rituals give shape to life. They hold you up when the world feels messy. And for the Romans, bathing was one of the most grounding rituals they had. You always knew what came next. Enter, oil up, scrape, steam, soak, cool down, sit quietly, maybe chat, maybe not. Same space, same people, same rhythm. And in that repetition, people found a weird kind of peace. It didn't fix your job, or your aching back, or your annoying neighbor with the loud goats, but it gave you a place to let all of that go, even just for a little while. It gave purpose to something to look forward to, a reward for getting through the day, a chance to reset, refresh, and remind yourself, I'm still here, I'm okay. And that quiet inner balance, that might have been the most healing thing of all. Final thoughts. Ancient peace in a daily ritual. Here's what. The Romans understood that we still forget. Big changes are great, but tiny daily rituals, that's where the magic is. One bath, every day, one moment where everything else fades. No emails, no deadlines, no chaos, just warm water, soft steam, and a body slowly remembering how to be still. So whether you're soaking in a marble tub or just standing in a hot shower at the end of a long day, let it be more than just a routine. Let it be a ritual. Let it reset you, because deep down, you're not just washing off the dirt. You're stepping into rhythm. And if it was good enough for Rome, it's probably good enough for you too. Chapter 18. The return to the world. The water is still. The steam has settled. Your skin is warm. Your breath is slow. And for a moment, it feels like the world outside has paused. But now it's time. Time to leave the Roman bath. To step out of the warmth, out of the quiet, and back into the world beyond the marble walls. Let's walk together, wrapping the body, clearing the mind. You reach for the linen cloth waiting in the corner, soft, dry, smelling faintly of olive oil and sun. It hugs your damp skin as you pat yourself down. Not fast, not rushed, just slow, easy movements. Your muscles feel like they've melted into honey. Your mind is floating somewhere between nap and poetry. You know that weird foggy but happy feeling after a good bath or sauna. Yeah, the Romans had it too. Dressing, a slow ritual. You step into the appetitorium, the changing room. Marble benches, your sandals, your tunic, folded exactly as you left it. There's no mirror, but you know you look peaceful. You dress, slowly, almost reluctantly. Each layer pulls you gently back into reality. The cloth touches warm skin. Your fingers move with care. No rush, no stress, because even dressing, after the bath, feels sacred. The pause before the door. You're dressed. Your skin is still warm, your shoulders relaxed. You take one last look at the bath behind you. The tepidarium, the caldarium, the frigidarium, still steaming, still humming with whispers and echoes. For a second, you think, maybe just 5 more minutes. But no, the world calls. Time to go. The first step into sunlight. You step through the heavy stone doorway, and boom, the light hits you. Golden Roman sunlight, fresh air, dust swirling softly, the sound of sandals on cobblestone. Everything feels sharper, brighter, slower. The world didn't change, but you did. Your heart is quieter, your breath deeper. You notice things you usually miss, a leaf drifting in the breeze, a baker laughing with a customer, the way the sunlight glows on red clay roofs. Featherlight, that's how it feels. Your body doesn't weigh you down. Even your mind feels floaty. It's like someone took your stress and steamed it out. Your thoughts don't shout. They whisper, like a lullaby behind your eyes. You feel taller, straighter, softer. It's the Roman bath effect. Passing the crowds, noticing the chaos, the streets are alive again. Vendors calling, children running, dogs barking, a senator arguing with a fig seller. It's the same old noise, but today, it doesn't touch you. You move through it like a breeze, like someone just visiting from a quieter world. The bath has changed your rhythm, and the city can't shake it. Tiny graces, you smile at someone. They smile back. You pause to let an old man cross with his donkey. You breathe in the scent of roasted chestnuts without rushing to buy one. You feel ... human, in the best way. Clean.com/present. The bath didn't just cleanse your skin, it washed your mood. Returning home, but different. Your villa or apartment waits. Familiar walls, familiar floors. But tonight, it all feels warmer. Your bed looks softer. Your wine tastes sweeter. Your conversation with a loved one comes slower, more real. Because you brought the bath home with you. Not in water, but in silence. In stillness, in grace. The Roman sky, you step outside. One more time, just for a moment. The sky stretches above you, purple blue. A few stars, that ancient Roman hush just before full night. You look up, and somewhere you think this is why they built those baths. Not just for the body, but for this. A calm heart, a clear mind, and a world that feels just a little softer than before. Final thought. So if today was heavy, if your thoughts raced, or your bones ached, or your spirit felt far away, maybe all you need is a little Roman ritual. Some warmth, some silence, some stillness. Let it wrap around you. Let it carry you home. And when you wake, may you carry that calm into the world with you. Chapter 19. Bathhouses by moonlight. All right. You know the daytime routine by now. Steam rising, sandals shuffling, chatter echoing under domes. But what happened when the sun slipped behind the hills and Rome got quiet? Well, not everything shut down. Some bathhouses stayed open late, and what they offered wasn't just warmth or cleanliness. It was something softer, slower, a little magical. This chapter is all about those quiet, glowing hours. When candles flickered, when the pools went still, when the bathhouse became more than a place to clean, it became a place to breathe. Some stayed open late. Most bathhouses closed before dark, but not all. The bigger ones, especially in Rome, sometimes stayed open into the evening. Not for the crowds, not for business. Just for the few souls who wandered in when the streets got quiet. You'd hear the doors creak open. Someone steps in, wrapped in a cloak, face lit by moonlight or a single oil lamp. The bathhouse isn't bustling anymore. The heat has softened. The echoes have faded. It's not a spa, now it's a sanctuary. And for the people who came at night, it wasn't about hygiene. It was about something deeper, something softer. Quiet lovers, lonely poets, or those who just couldn't sleep, so who bathed by moonlight. Lovers, for one. You'd find them whispering in corners, steam curling around them like a secret. The warmth made everything feel a little closer, a little easier. Then there were the poets, the moody ones. They came in alone, sat by the water, with faraway eyes, and tried to remember the lines they dreamed of earlier, maybe scribbled notes into wax tablets, maybe just stared at the ripples. And of course there were the restless, the ones who couldn't sleep. Maybe their minds were racing, maybe they missed someone, maybe they were just chasing silence. The bathhouse took them all in. No questions, just warmth. Moonlight reflecting on still water, the best part of these late-night visits. The light, no skylight raised this time, just the moon, soft, silver, cool. It poured in through open windows, catching the surface of the pools. The water didn't splash anymore, it shimmered, like glass with breath. Candles flickered in corners, casting golden halos that danced across the ceiling. You'd see your reflection in the water, but not like during the day. At night, it looked calmer, quieter, almost like the water saw the real you, the tired you, the one that didn't need to talk. And in that space, under that moon, even the hardest day seemed to let go. You weren't thinking about war, or debt, or politics. You were just there, floating in warmth, watching shadows, listening to the drip of water on stone. Night baths were the softest lullabies of the empire. There's no record of who first stayed late, no famous quote about it. But somewhere in the empire's rhythm, people learned this one truth. A night bath could fix what the day couldn't. No speeches, no ceremony, just you, and heat, and quiet. It was like a lullaby for grown-ups, the kind without words. Just steam and stillness, melting you into sleep. Some bathhouses even leaned into it. They dimmed the lights, let the fires burn lower, made the rooms quieter, as if the building itself knew this was sacred time. People didn't talk much, didn't rush. They came in slow and left even slower, wrapped in towels, hair damp, hearts lighter. And when they stepped outside, Rome was still, the moon still high. And for once, maybe they didn't feel so alone. Final thoughts. The empire after dark. We always picture Rome loud and bright, shouting, horses clattering, gladiators grunting. But the empire had its soft hours too, its gentle places. And nothing was softer than a bathhouse at night. No crowds, no chaos. Just moonlight on water, whispers in steam, and the quiet kindness of warm stone. Maybe that's what kept people coming back. Not just the heat or the rituals, but the peace, especially at night. Especially when the world felt too loud. So the next time you find yourself awake past midnight, staring at the ceiling, wishing for silence, picture it. Still water, stone walls, a glow from one single flame, and the moon watching over you through an open window. Chapter 20. The legacy of still water. You know how sometimes a bath just hits different, like the water hugs your soul a little. Oh, thank the Romans. Seriously, that long soak you love, the quiet moment with steam and still water. Yaram got there first. Let's talk about how something as simple as bathing turned into a whole legacy. Not just washing, but wellness. Not just water, but wonder. The empire fell, but the baths didn't. Rome crumbled. The legions scattered. The marble cracked. But the bath stayed. Not the buildings, always many turned to ruins, but the idea of the bath, the feeling it gave people, the quiet peace in warm water, the way it healed, inside and out. That didn't die. It just moved on. Whispers of Rome in new waters. After Rome's fall, Europe got a little rough. Plagues, wars, less plumbing, fewer togas, but in hidden corners, the bath survived. Monasteries kept little warm pools for healing. Travelers whispered about sacred springs. Old Roman ruins, half buried, still bubbled with warm water. And then, the world picked it up again. The Turkish hammam warmth with a pulse. Fast forward to the rise of the Ottoman Empire. Enter the Turkish hammam, kind of like a Roman bath with a new vibe. Steam-filled rooms, hot slabs of marble, buckets of water dumped with love and force. Friendly strangers scrubbing you like a human potato. Relaxing. Oh yes, slightly intense. Also yes, but it worked. It soothed muscles. It cleared minds. And like Rome, it became a social hub. Business deals, marriage arrangements, gossip, all while dripping wet. Classic, the Japanese onsen. Earth's hot gift. Now let's hop east. Japan. The hot springs in the mountains, rich with minerals, quiet, sacred, hot enough to melt your stress clean off your bones. People go to onsens not just to soak, but to breathe, to be still, to sit in warm silence and just exist. It's a bath with a heartbeat, nature's hug. And just like the Roman baths, it's a ritual. Wash first, enter slowly, say little, leave lighter. Sound familiar? Modern spas. Rome, rebranded. Fast forward. Again, this time to today. You walk into a spa, soft music, a robe. Someone offers you cucumber water. You feel like royalty with a weird towel on your head. And at the heart of it all, water still warm, scented, massaging jets, steam rooms, salt soaks. It's all Rome, just with mood lighting and essential oils. Even your little bathtub at home with candles and bubbles and that one playlist you always use. That's Roman soul therapy, friend. They'd be proud. Why it all still matters, because here's the truth. Life hasn't gotten less stressful since the empire fell. We still rush. We still ache. We still carry too much. And sometimes the answer isn't louder, faster, stronger. Sometimes it's Warm water, a quiet room, steam on your skin, silence in your mind. Still water, still powerful, so maybe you're not walking under marble arches or stepping into a pool lit by Roman torches, but the feeling, that slow, peaceful sigh as the heat wraps around you. That's ancient, that's sacred, that's still here. Every spa day, every onsen dip, every sigh into your tub after a long, long week. It's not just a bath, it's history, it's medicine, it's a love letter from still water to your tired soul. Final thought: so next time you slide into that bath and close your eyes, think of Rome, of steam rising into stone ceilings, of strangers talking in soft voices, of quiet peace in a chaotic world. And remember, even after empires fall, still water stays.